Guys, obviously, to be an athlete, you aim to be in peak physical health, but we're learning your mental health might play an even bigger role in your performance. And joining me to talk a little more about this is psychologist and executive coach, Dr. Lisa Orbe-Austin. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Natalie.
So athlete mental health has been in the headlines a lot lately, including yesterday with Naomi Osaka. She this news conference at a tournament in Cincinnati yesterday. Then she eventually came back. She did finish, but it just highlights how delicate these topics can be for athletes. Were you surprised to see her doing press again so soon after telling everyone this gives her major anxiety?
Well, I think it is definitely probably important for her to focus on her mental health and when she feels better before she comes back, as opposed to deciding because there's another tournament that she has to speak again. So I think it's really important to be able to focus on your own mental health and when you're ready, not when other people feel you should be ready.
Yeah, not when other people are. And Simone Biles, she's detailing her struggles as we saw in the Olympics. Why do you think athletes, they're finally being transparent about this particular part of their lives?
I think it's important that, I think when one person comes out, I think other people feel free to come out in all kinds of different ways. And I think the representation around dealing with mental health issues becomes so central and important for all of them to feel like they can claim it and be able to acknowledge that this is what they're struggling with, which I think is amazing for all of us.
Yeah, and a lot of people just never associated those two things together. But being an athlete, obviously a lot tougher and a lot more pressure when you're young as these young ladies, and especially talented. What are some ways that we can prepare our kids to be healthy and mentally healthy in these sports?
There's a lot of opportunity to learn things in sports that are incredibly important to our lives. One of them being like learning how to fail forward and dealing with defeat. Another one being learning how to verbalize what you're feeling, what your needs are, dealing with your injuries and being able to talk about them, being able to say when you're uncomfortable handling particular situations. I think there's also a lot of ancillary things that come from sports that are important to highlight that children are learning, like leadership and followership skills, communication, goal setting, prioritizing their self and their mental health and their mental well-being. So all of those things are so important to be able to be proactively teaching children while they're learning sports.
Yeah, really important. And a lot of these kids, they start out very young. They make this their career. Now, at the end of the road, though, they need to switch when they retire. How do you suggest that athletes prepare for that next step of their lives? It's been their identity.
Yeah, I think it's so important to parallel path both your athletic career and the career you plan to pursue afterward, to make sure that you're actively engaged in that other interest, whether it is getting internships or returnships or dealing with developing mentors and networks. And if you're thinking about going to grad school, starting for your GRE, but actually actively engaging that other path and not waiting for the career to be over to start engaging it, it'll make the transition a lot smoother.
Yeah, start doing those things now. Dr. Lisa Orbe-Austin, as always, thank you so much for joining us.